Hey everybody, thank you once again for tuning into another episode of the TamaraTamu Collective, where dreams have no filter. We're getting into some topics in this video. The main the main topic, the main idea that I want us to address is or are ways to stay away from arguing with people about what they believe to be possible for you or even for themselves. Okay. We are not arguing when it comes to what we know to be true and possible for ourselves through our vision, through what we say, through our affirmations. It is not our job to try and convince anybody of that truth ever. Okay. And sometimes when we have come into this new way of thinking and new way of being, we want to share it with everybody, especially those that we love. We want to tell people, hey, you don't have to keep living to survive. You can live to thrive every day. Every day is not about struggle. You get to create. You're a co-creator. You're an alchemist. You are an esoteric being. You are a cosmic being, able to manifest your desire. Some people are not ready to hear that. And it is not your job to argue with a person, because people will fight for their limitation because that is what they're used to. And I just got ahead of myself, but anyway, let's get into it. So I'm just going to break this down several ways. The first thing, though, that I want to talk about is how our subconscious, and maybe this is a reminder for us, but we have to realize this. The words that we say, and I don't want to scare anybody with this, but the words that we say, it gets put into our subconscious. Okay? Our subconscious does not differentiate between a serious comment that we make about ourselves versus a joke. All right? Now, listen, we all have been there where we have made some self-deprecating joke about ourselves because maybe at the time we thought it was funny. Maybe we tripped over something and fell, okay? And maybe after falling, we said, how could I be so? And then you fill in a negative word. I can't even say it. Okay, I'm not going to even say it. Or we've heard people refer to themselves as a dumbass or stupid or, not being, we've heard people say things, let's take math. I don't know how many times I've heard people say, oh, I'm just not good with numbers, or I'm not good with math, or whatever, as a joke, maybe. But our subconscious does not differentiate. Our subconscious hears those words and they get recorded. The good thing is that we, as cosmic, esoteric, powerful beings, we get to decide what's going to stay as a programmed comment in our subconscious. Okay, we get to make that choice. We get to decide that. We have also now, when it comes to other people, those are internal. Now, when it comes to other people, specifically our families, we hear phrases. Now, raise your hand if you've heard the phrase, oh, well, this certain disease or certain struggle runs in the family. How many times have we heard that? How many times have we heard that? I'm here to tell you, nothing that has ran in the family applies to you. It does not have to apply to you at all. Because we are so powerful, we get to change the function of our cells. We get to activate our cells in a way, our cell, I'm not saying ourselves, but our cells, all those 4 trillion plus cells, we get to decide what is activated. Now, for some of you listening in, that may be hard to wrap your brain around. Okay, you can accept it or not. I'm not here to convince you. I'm talking to those who know, and perhaps, you've had a bunch of people in your ear and it's getting hard for you to focus, but I'm doing this video as a reminder to you. You are powerful enough to change outcome of your cells, to change how your DNA is going to be expressed in your life. Okay, so I'm bringing up this phrase of "it runs in the family" to illustrate how we cannot argue with other people for limitations. So, for example, and I think I've talked about this in another video, but I'm going to bring it up again. I was having a conversation with a young woman who I'm more than 2 decades older than. She's in her early 20s. All of a sudden, I don't even know how we got on the topic, but she's telling me she's giving me a rundown, complete rundown, one by one, an itemized list of what her mother has told her, what her aunt has told her, what her cousins have told her, runs in their family, particularly these diseases that manifest in the women in their family. And I'm listening to this young woman claim those diseases already by age. She has already said, I'm probably going to have this about 3 years from now. Then when I hit 30, I'll start to see this. Then when I get 40, I'll see that. I mean, she's going down the list. I know that sounds like I'm exaggerating, but this is what I'm hearing her do. She has already solidified these diseases based on these conversations, based on what she's heard other people tell her. Well, this is what runs in the family. Instead of her taking her power, or maybe she didn't even realize that she was powerful enough to say, well, no, wait a minute. I'm a goddess. I'm a cosmic being. I'm an abundant being. I am abundance. I am goodness personified. I don't have to accept this. I don't have to be doomed to what other people are telling me. And perhaps, her aunt and her mother, they're not wrong. They didn't even know what they were saying. They didn't know what they were doing. But no one ever told them, hey, you don't have to be doomed to these illnesses. No one ever told them that. So as she's, finishing up her itemized list, I just simply said to her, look, you're a young woman who's vibrant, alive, healthy. You are not doomed to whatever's running in your family. You can be the one where whatever was running has stopped. It stops with you. You can make that choice. That's all I said to her. That's all I said to her. Because at that moment, because she was so sure, it was very delicate because I did not want to take it a step further because it would have caused more resistance for her to hold on to that self-limiting belief, hold on to that limitation, and then it would have caused me frustration. Okay? I didn't want to feel frustrated, and I didn't want for her to create more resistance, because more resistance, we internalize that. That would not have helped her either. So that's that's one example of what I'm talking about here. Now, when we talk about not arguing with people for their limitation, it brings up this idea of the demand that other people may place on you to be realistic. And here's the thing, the demand doesn't necessarily have to come from the outside. That demand for you to be realistic can be internal, from your ego, from logic, from what makes sense. So to embrace that power that we have, it may take some willingness for you to be viewed as perhaps delusional, perhaps a little crazy, perhaps unrealistic, perhaps weird. But I would rather, that's just me talking, I would rather be viewed as unrealistic and weird and delusional. If it means that I am embracing my power, if it means that I am stepping into my alchemy as a cosmic being, then so be it. So be it. Because here's the thing, when you have people that are saying, well, okay, well, let's go back to the young woman and her family telling her that this is what runs in the family. Well, maybe according to medicine, for her to just accept that, maybe that is, for medicine, maybe that is being realistic. Well, you have to be realistic. This is what you've seen happen. This is what has happened to the women in your family. Okay, maybe according to medicine, that is being realistic. But to me, being realistic is saying, well, wait a minute. Do I really have to accept that? Do I really have to accept that as truth for me? Can I really create my health outcomes that I want to have? Can I really experience harmony in my body every single day? Because I believe, I know that to be realistic is to embrace that power. To be realistic is to embrace the fact that the breath that's in our body is life-giving to ourselves and to other people. That's another episode. To know that our breath, that our words that we speak, that we can give life to what we want, not what we don't want. That is realistic. Okay? So let's take this a step further to our relationships, which I just kind of touched on, but I want to dive just a little bit deeper into that. So like I said earlier, when you start, there's freedom in knowing that you can speak what you want. There's freedom in knowing that. And naturally, you want to share it. Naturally, you want to share with people. Hey, this is how you do it. This is how you move from living in a programmed, set type of way, and you move into a higher level of consciousness where you start to realize that you've got all this power, that you can speak, that you don't have to be afraid of this power, that you came into the world with. You want to share it with everybody. As I said before, some people are going to accept it, some are not. Number one, don't argue with anybody. You have to use your intuition. You have to use your discernment to know if a person is ready to accept that or not. You'll have some people that they're all in. Okay? They are ready to hear. You have some people that they're kind of teetering. They're open to hearing it. They're not sure. They're still kind of at arm's length to that. But they're still willing to hear just a little bit. And then you have those people that want no parts of it. Regardless of who you run into, regardless of the type of person you run into, number one, do not argue. I know I keep saying that, but that's very important. It's easy to determine which category those people will fall into. So those, it runs in the family people, those are people who want no parts of it. So now we get into, okay, well, what do I say? If I'm not to argue, if I still, I love these people are in my life, I'm not willing to just cut them off. I'm not going to cut them off. I'm going to be emotionally intelligent and maintain my relationships. So what do? Well, you can say this out loud, or you can say this internally. You can say, well, that doesn't apply to me. Again, you can say it out loud, or you can say it to yourself. Because it's hard for someone to argue. If someone says, well, this is just what runs in our family, and you say, well, it doesn't apply to me, I'm making other choices. It's very hard to argue with that. It's very hard to have a rebuttal to that. Okay? So again, you can say that internally, or you can say it out loud. Now, one more thing that I want to say to this, and maybe I should save this for a video. No, for another video, but I think I'm going to say this now, just as a preview. To embrace the power of your words, you are owning your divinity. That's really what that means. And when you really start to understand how effective your words are, and when you really start to feel into that, you also realize that you can speak your intention into future interactions with those same people. When you do that, you're allowing that energy, that goddess energy, that cosmic energy, that universal energy to channel words through you that will pierce a person's self-limiting mirror and completely shatter it. That's how powerful you are. Okay, so I know I talked about a lot in this video, but I had to present all of those things to just get us to remember we're not here to convince anybody of anything. But yet at the same time, just like I said, our interactions with people who are not yet ready to embrace it, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But we're not to argue, but also knowing that we are a channel for messages that can not only just shatter our self-limiting programming, but can shatter other people's with our words. All right. So before we go, thank you for listening. And I also want to tell you about a new offering that I just put together. I was holding on to it for a minute because I just wasn't sure. But then I had to break out of my own self-limiting beliefs and realize that what I was doing was going against everything that I say on this channel. So I've created this offer of, I won't even call it a book, but it's a booklet of over 100 affirmations, okay, that cover different categories that I believe make up our existence. And the affirmations are affirmations that I use. Do I say each and every one of those affirmations every single day? No. Sometimes it's whichever one that I'm led to, whichever life category that I feel I'm being led to focus on, I'll take a few, sometimes a handful, sometimes one, and that will be my meditation. And remember, when you're affirming something, you're not trying to force anything. It's not a force. You are agreeing with what is already complete. You're just reminding yourself of what already is. So that is available now. It's I priced it at $9.99. And again, it's a booklet. It's something that you can easily print off. It'll be emailed to you, so make sure when you purchase it that you're putting in the correct email address. And check it out. The link is in the description box. I titled the booklet Cast Your Spell, because when you speak words, you are casting a spell. That's what words are. We can't be afraid of that. Casting a spell I'm getting into other topics. Now I'm getting into a whole nother subject. But it's called Cast Your Spell. All right. The offer is available. Download it. Use it. Use your words. Create what you want. All right. So thank you for tuning in for this episode. Until next time, cheers.